Have you guys ever thought about Yamcha? How cool he is? How awesome Yamcha is? How amazing and awesome? Yeah, no, I haven't either. And the reality is Yamcha, well, gets beat up, is the joke of many gags in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and so on. And frankly, Yamcha is shown to be kind of the bottom of the barrel. I mean, so much so that when the Tournament of Power was kind of instated, they had a running gag where they literally were not recruiting Yamcha, someone they have known for their entire lives, and decided, hey, let's go recruit one of Goku's, or if not Goku's greatest villain in Frieza instead. Now, hey, heck of a thing, heck of a choice. I love Frieza. Hey, there's a reason why I have Frieza as my profile picture, and frankly, he's my favorite villain in Dragon Ball history. But I gotta talk about Yamcha. Yamcha is just a hell of a thing. Now, I know I kind of talked about all of these bad things that, well, Yamcha is kind of a run of a gag, but here's the thing. Yamcha might have gone through quite a bit, has gone through an absolute beating, being that of losing to a Cyberman, losing to Dr. Gero, getting his chest basically punched in, right? Having a massive fear of women, fumbling the bag with Bulma. Yeah, I know all of this sounds horrible, but frankly, being Yamcha in Dragon Ball really wouldn't be that bad. Now, of course, we have Yamcha early on where he actually was something. He trained, he was a bandit, and he was stuff like that. But we know nowadays, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super Yamcha, that's not really who Yamcha is. And even when we have seen him train, he frankly just wasn't the person that he needed to be to really take on the foes that were coming ahead of him. But here's the thing. A lot of these people, a lot of these humans aren't going to be on par with some of the villains that need to be handled. Something like a Cyberman, yes, blew him up, and you can make the argument that Yamcha was stronger than a Cyberman. He just, unfortunately let his guard down to the point where he blew up. But he also was no match for Dr. Gero, an android that he was ill prepared for, and frankly should not have even been there in the first place. But luckily we have Senzu beans. Now, I will say all of these things may seem like, oh, well, this is horrible. Why would I ever want to be Yamcha in Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Ball universe in general? This sounds absolutely horrendous. Well, I'm here to talk about mostly that being Yamcha isn't really that bad. And the main reason for that is, well, let's start with the idea that Yamcha is superhuman. He has very, very, very high levels of strength, even if it's not comparable to, people like Goku, people like Vegeta and stuff like that. Yes, he's not even close to those people, but he still has very high levels of strength and very high levels of ki control. And the biggest thing for me, especially with Yamcha, is that my guy doesn't have to be a bandit anymore. There's no way that if you swapped bodies with Yamcha, you became Yamcha in Dragon Ball, you didn't have to be a bandit anymore. You don't have to fight anymore. All you gotta do is maintain a small amount of training, keep up your skills to a certain extent, and do something that we have seen in filler, and also even in the filler of Dragon Ball Super, and that's play freaking baseball. And that's something that I want to talk about massively, because being Yamcha in the Dragon Ball universe isn't bad at all, because you can be wealthy, you can be rich, you can be famous. And this is something that I always find hilarious with the whole idea of basically Goku needing money for Chi-Chi and stuff like that. But of course, they have superhuman-like abilities, and Yamcha has pretty damn good control over his ki, so why can't he play baseball? Well, we actually do get a Dragon Ball Z episode of Yamcha being on a baseball team. Now, there is some hiccups within that kind of reality, But still, imagine if you're Yamcha and you decide, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm going to play baseball. I want to be the greatest baseball player ever. Well, for starters, the first thing you gotta think about is what baseball truly is, and how often should I really be hitting a ball, or how often should I really be giving up runs? Because if you go out there and you pitch a no-hitter every single game, then we're gonna have issues, right? Nobody's gonna watch that version of baseball. They know that your team's gonna win every single game no matter what. So what do? Well, you tone down your power, your skill, and frankly everything that makes you you to about 1%. And that 1% still makes you an Olympic, if not higher level athlete, and you're able to play baseball at a level so high that nobody can freaking stop you. I mean, he even has his own little curveball thing with the whole spirit ball, where he can control the ball and do this mean curveball. And that's awesome and that's amazing and all, but still, you have to know your restrictions, because guess what's gonna happen if you decide, hey, I'm just gonna pitch no hitters, I'm going to hit home runs every time I touch a bat. Imagine if you continue to do that. Well, nobody's gonna pay money to watch your team at all, because guess what? It's not fun to watch a baseball game where one team always wins no matter what. I mean, shoot, even if I was going for the team that Yamcha was playing for, I don't think I'd be excited to watch a game that is 15-0 every single time he steps on the mat, right? Every time he steps on the diamond, you could say. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even a big baseball fan myself. I'm not super into baseball at all, but Yamcha himself could do a multitude of sports. I mean, shoot, get out of where you are, go play some freaking football, go play some basketball. Dude, you can basically fly, so your jumping ability would be a different level, and shoot, you could probably get paid millions of dollars to play basketball by just being a defensive asset, somebody who's absolutely locked down on one side of the floor. And yes, you may absolutely suck at doing everything else, but at least you will be good at that one thing, be really good at, well, being somebody who can be on the floor defensively, and somebody who can actually protect the rim, anything like that. And Yamcha could do it all, but baseball is the one that we really see. And we even see him play baseball with the other overpowered fighters, right? We have Universe 7 versus Universe 6 in a baseball-like tournament or a baseball-like game. And it's an interesting one, you could say the least. It's a very interesting one because, frankly, watching Yamcha do his own Yamcha things and, frankly, play really well in that game is awesome to see. But at the same time, let's be honest, all of these people, they're just not holding back. They're not doing anything by the rules. They're going to hurt you extremely bad, Yamcha. And that's what we end up seeing. Just because you're good at baseball doesn't mean you should be playing baseball with people who don't know how to control their strength properly. But my main point that I'm trying to get across is that, frankly, being Yamcha in Dragon Ball isn't that bad, and it wouldn't be terrible by any means. Because like I said before, if he begins to start actually going into sports, I mean, I would stay away from like MMA and martial arts because, well, you'd probably kill people like very easily. But if you stick to, some baseball, you go to maybe do some football, maybe you decide I'm gonna do some overseas basketball, maybe get into the NBA or something along those lines. And he continues on any sports possible, maybe even the Olympics to a large degree. Nobody's gonna stop you, man. Nobody's gonna be better than you. Nobody's going to be even close to you, because at the end of the day, you are superhuman. You borderline have the ability to blow up a planet. Yes, I know it's wild to think about, especially when we're talking about Yamcha, but he can blow up a planet, and he would outclass so many of these other athletes that, frankly, it wouldn't even be fair. We're talking about people like Hercule, who basically con his way to being absolutely rich out of his mind. Yamcha doesn't necessarily have to con his way to be rich out of his mind. He could just genuinely bring himself down to a certain percentage of his power, go into baseball, go into another sport, any sport you can think of, be the best at it, be the greatest at it, but not so much so that you make it so that everything is absolutely boring, and then bam, you are on the same level as someone like Hercule or Mr. Satan, who basically conned his way to being known as the greatest martial artist ever. You would be better than him, but just in your respective sports, making a ton of money, a ton of cash, and just piling up all the good things you possibly could have wanted in life. Yamcha, you don't have to go back to being a bandit anymore. You don't have to be the loser that lost the girl, that fumbled the bag. You can be like Hercule. You could be making tons of money, have 50 rooms in your house, have everything you ever wanted, have piles and piles and piles of literally everything. You can have it all. And that's exactly what Yamcha could do. He doesn't have to go the martial artist way, which, yes, of course he could, and just, show off and be more kind of like Hercule-like, but he doesn't have to go that way. Just learn a sport, get stupid amounts of money for that sport. It'll take a couple years, but you'll then be making millions and millions of dollars, and then boom. And at the end of the day, it's not like you got to worry about being called up and be like, hey, there's a horrible threat coming to kill us all. We need you, Yamcha, because Yamcha, you're not a part of that life anymore. And frankly, you were never strong enough to even be comparable to defend Earth in the first place. You might have been able to defeat a Cyberman, but a Cyberman still defeated you. And you weren't going to be able to help with someone like Nappa or Vegeta. And that was a long, long time ago. Those are people that, well, a long time ago were extremely strong, at least at that time. Nowadays, it's like he's so outclassed. Yes, he's able to blow up planets, but everybody else is like borderline solar system level, if not higher. Or at least a lot of people are borderline solar system level, if not higher. And he doesn't have to worry about that at all. And why is it okay to be Yamcha? And why is it actually kind of not that bad to be Yamcha in Dragon Ball? Is because you're already superhuman. You can go out, make a ton of money from playing sports, and then live life to the absolute fullest. Avoid all conflict because everybody doesn't see you as a martial artist anyways, devoiding you from actually being part of the universal survival tournament. And you just live life like a calm life, maybe find a good woman, Yamcha, and there you go. A great life for Yamcha and a great life for the rest of us if we were somehow transported into Yamcha's body or something, and we were basically forced to live the life of Yamcha. Now, would the early years suck? Of course. Would it suck getting your chest absolutely caved in? Would it suck being blown up by a Cyberman? Of course. All of those things are absolutely horrible. But Yamcha's life in the future, and as you continue on, just becomes better and better if you just put your brain to it just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Now, with that said, though, this is why being Yamcha in the world of Dragon Ball really isn't that bad. If you just get over the hump of, being absolutely destroyed a couple times. Now, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. The Golden Emperor is back, at least for the time being, and hopefully for the long haul. I do plan on still doing what ifs, but I also want to add the rants like this video right here. I want to add kind of just random videos, kind of like maybe talking about Team 4-Star, maybe talking about funny stuff that they used to do, or stuff that we really enjoyed in past Dragon Ball episodes, and funny things like that. Maybe talking about different characters in a funny way. Nonetheless, though, this is exactly what I want to do with the channel. Hope you guys are on board with it, and hope you guys enjoy it. And please leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. And with that said, I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.